Sky Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode, and we are back again with the most sciencey guy in the earth and sky, Rich Soule. And as you all know, I do a lot of shows about woo, but I am not by any means providing lopsided information, because when I can get somebody that's got some actual science on Bigfoot on the show, I want them on just as much, if not more, than I want the woo people on, to give you the complete package, the total picture of these Sasquatch phenomena. And there's no one better at elucidating on this phenomena than the phenomenal Rich Soule, the creator and main man of the Knox Gigas project, who not only knows a lot about the science of Sasquatch, but also knows a lot about the paranormal aspects of Sasquatch. So this is the perfect guy to have on for this subject.
Dude, good times. Thanks for having me. If you could see, I'm blushing with everything you've said about me. So
really, I just figured you were outside, got a windburn or something.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. And you know, tonight we're going to talk about EYEGLOW, which is something I know quite a bit about. And we're going to talk about the mechanism behind it.
We're on to the EYEGLOW now. This is the main thing we were here to talk about, other than the updates of the eDNA thing, which is like super cool. Is there any anybody on the horizon there that's planning on making any test kits for that? That would sure be handy to know.
You know, environmental DNA is still kind of in the infant stage yet, I think, for something like this, but it's absolutely a possibility. If the funding was there, it could be done.
You would think that would be handy just for finding, for forestry people and stuff that are tracking rare animals that are move around a lot, wolverines, stuff like that. Yeah. You're not necessarily going to be able to spot them, even mountain lions, but if they're in the area, they would leave environmental DNA, of course.
Yeah, and that is one of the applications that they believe it will be used for, and they've used it for like finches and stuff like that. So wildlife is absolutely something that they're looking at. So putting together a kit like that, if the funding was there, would be awesome for this sort of research. But I don't think we don't have anybody with the cash flow that is going to, want to take that on right now. If there is, then I would love to hear from them. That would be great.
Just in case you're listening, Elon.
Yeah. This would be your time to segue in with your billions of dollars. And
not like it would take that much.
Yeah, a fraction of that would work for us in this situation. So,
yeah. Then you'd have another feather in your cap. You helped with the DNA science that proved that they're still running around out there, stealing chickens and peeking in windows.
Yeah, it would be historical, absolutely, to be able to do that and have kits out there that you could send all over the world. That would be amazing, and we would have a central database for that information. It would be incredible for science, and it would be hard to argue they didn't exist at that point.
Pretty much impossible, yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be any more arguing going on at that point. So, yeah, one of the things that comes up occasionally, especially amongst the senior researchers, is where they see these strange phenomena known as EYEGLOW. And just to make it clear to all the casual listeners out there, we're not talking about the reflectivity of light off of a glossy eye or anything like that. We're not talking about your headlights or your flashlight shining off of a deer's eye and making it glow, although there's commonly a lot of animals that can do that. We're talking about these beings being able to actually internally generate light and make their eyes glow. And so that's what we mean by EYEGLOW. And we're here with Rich specifically tonight to address the science that's been able to be cobbled together on this subject, which is, again, why I love having Rich on the show, because he is out there in the field. He sees them doing weird paranormal things, and then he starts doing the research to see if there's some way to actually explain this with what we know as modern science. And so it's always wonderful to get his findings and research on the subject. So take the floor, Rich.
Yeah, well, this is a subject that really caught my attention. It would have been over 10 years ago when I first started experiencing this phenomena, and I had the good fortune of attending an expedition in Iowa that was put on by Steve Moon at that time, and one of the presenters there was Dr. Tom Rue, who was a physicist, and the subject of bioluminescence and EYEGLOW was his presentation. And we were at Volga State Park, which is up in the Solarian Escarpments of northeast Iowa at that time, and it was just kind of a surreal experience for me because Dr. Rue had brought whale recordings, and he had them on top of his vehicle and was playing whale recordings, like blue whale sounds. And we were walking, one of the gentlemen attending, my friend Paul, we were walking a 2-track road along a river, the Volga River, and about, midnight, something like that. And we started seeing this EYEGLOW, and it was a surreal experience because we had a presentation on it, and we were witnessing. It was almost on cue. So I have been fortunate enough to see EYEGLOW many hundreds of times in the field, which I'm sure some people find that hard to believe, but really, after all the research I've been doing, it's something that I've seen probably more than anything. And I've seen a ton of tree structures and those sorts of things, and have documented those. But the EYEGLOW phenomenon is something that really didn't have a whole lot of attention, and a lot of people tended to poo-poo it and say it was just like you were saying, it was eye shine. And a lot of people still, I think, incorrectly use the term, and they associate it to these hominids. They use the term eye shine, and it's not eye shine. Mm-hmm. The eye shine in other animals in the woods. This is
now, before you go on, I could say that, first of all, I have seen eye shine, both kinds, where just the starlight is glinting off of their nice glossy eyeball when they're sitting in the woods 20 feet away from you watching you. And also the other kind where you actually get some sort of an object that is forcing light in their direction, let's say flashlight, car headlight, whatever, and you get the reflectivity of their eyes coming back at you. But of all the tons of times I've been around them, I've never seen EYEGLOW yet. Never, ever.
Yeah, and that's interesting. But one of the things is that when we were doing this research, we would go into the woods in complete darkness. We didn't have any light. And
and that's probably why you've experienced this so much, because where we do research at, the idea of walking around in the dark where there's grizzlies and big mountain lions, it's really not a good idea. So we tend to not do any night research. We just stay at camp and let them come visit us.
Yeah, and this is the kind of the crux of it, is that we would hike an area during the day, so we had a good idea of what the terrain is, but we would go completely dark. After 30 minutes, your eyes adjust and do glean some ambient light, and you are able, in most situations, to ambulate through and traverse areas that
albeit perhaps not quietly.
Not quietly. You do still draw attention to yourselves, but we have caught some off guard. One of the experiences we had is one came off of we were on a 2-track, just a single road, walking in the middle of the night with no lights at all, just walking in the dark. And one stepped out of, this was a Yellow River State Forest, one stepped out of the river bed onto the 2-track, turned and looked at us, and its eyes got really big and bright. And it then realized we were standing there in the darkness, and it turned and went straight up a vertical incline and just disappeared. But it was probably 15 yards in front of me, and it was absolutely, it was, I believe, shocked, and we were shocked at the same time. But it was so cool. I mean, that was just an awesome experience.
How big do you estimate he was?
How big?
Yeah.
How tall? He was at least 9 feet. He was big. He was very. And his eyes,
that's a big boy.
Yeah, and his and here's the difference when we're talking about EYEGLOW. You'll see, I've seen them standing underneath a tree with leaves in the tree. Well, the illumination of their eyes are lighting up the leaves in the tree. Okay, so that's not eye shine. That's what the term is. We're using EYEGLOW. And so tonight I wanted to kind of talk about the mechanism of it. You interviewed Sibylla Irwin not too far back, a month or so ago. And I went back and watched the video that she had made. She had a interview with a gentleman from British Columbia who had a face-to-face sighting back in the 70s. And one of the things I love about Sibylla is that in the absence of photographic evidence, she is able to take an artistic rendering of somebody's experience and really capture what that was for that person. And just similar to what a police artist would do in a crime scene. And if there was a sketch artist to kind of draw the face of the person who committed the crime, she can do that in the terms of the SASQUATCH. And in
ridiculous detail. And she has a lot more time to spend with them. So she gets them exactly like what they remembered, not just close.
Yes. And so she did an excellent rendition of EYEGLOW. And in that experience that she was documenting, the gentleman, it was in the 70s, and I believe the two SASQUATCH that were interacting with him were communicating. They were communicating their abilities of things they could do, and they were showing him that. And people should go back and watch that because it's just a fascinating interview. But what I gleaned from it significantly was the EYEGLOW. One of the things that caught my attention is that when he was the adult male, the gentleman who was in the cabin and just looking through a window, he rolled his eyes up into his head and showed the sclera of his eyes and showed this light shining out of his sclera. And I found that absolutely significant because back in 2012, that's exactly what Dr. Rue had described. So let me kind of back up and let's look at the lens of this EYEGLOW and the eyes of a physicist, Dr. Rue, who passed away, I believe, in 2015. He's no longer with us, but
he was a real physicist, and if you try and contradict him, you'll rue the day you did. Sorry, couldn't resist.
Yeah. So this is a very scientific explanation of what EYEGLOW is and what the mechanism is. And essentially, what he explained is in deep sea fish, there are photophores, which are light emitting organs, and these photophores allow for these deep sea sea life to either have searchlights or to use them as bait, but they absolutely are illuminating their surroundings in complete and utter darkness. And we know that because we've documented that. So his suggestion is that these photophores are the organs within the sclera of these hominids, and they are projecting this light out. And so what he was saying is there would be, because one of the things with EYEGLOW also is that you see different colors of their eye glow. We've seen blue and red, amber, kind of a greenish color. There's, I believe, all of the primary light spectrum they can emit those lights, and that again is almost a whole science in itself, trying to figure out what they're communicating with that. But we do know when we've seen the red.
Well, you've actually seen them change eye glow color in real time, so they can actually somehow control what color is coming out of their eyes. And the other thing that's brought up a lot is when you see red eye glow, it's probably an angry Sasquatch, but could be something else. But red eye glow, bad, time to leave.
Yeah, that's generally they're a little perturbed with what's going on. We had one throw a stick at our tent, and he was standing at the road, and his eyes were glowing red. So it was and we were probably in an area that this was Camp Hard Knocks, which we've talked about this before, but I do think I know there's a spring there, so they're accessing water, but there may be a portal in that area too. So there's other things that are going on that they really were not happy we were there at that time. So, but I've seen all of those colors. Amber, seen that a lot, and what you'll see is them peeking around trees many times. And so that's why a lot of people who haven't seen it, you have to kind of have an eye for it and get used to being out in the dark, for one thing, in the woods. But you also kind of have to have this sense of looking for this peeking behavior that they do. And once you get used to looking for that in the woods, you will recognize that, and it'll blow your mind the first time you ever see it yourself. So if you come to Nebraska, I will absolutely get you out in the woods, and you will see some EYEGLOW.
All right,
I'll make sure you do.
I'll have Ash and the Viking with me too.
Getting back to this mechanism, let's get into science. So what Dr. Rue proposed is that there would be these lens cells that would be able to change colors. You'd have a layer of those that would be projecting, and then the photophores would be projecting through them. Behind that, you would have cells that are called chromatophores, and those would be projecting light away from the iris or going back into the eye. So you'd have a series of cells that would be layered, and then you'd have these light-emitting organs called photophores that would be shining light through those filter cells, and then also you'd have those chromatophore cells that would be focusing the light away from going back into the
right, because otherwise it'd be blinding themselves with their own headlights.
Yeah, so and there's good reason to believe that the more we photograph this sort of EYEGLOW, the more we'll understand if it's many of these photophores or if it's just a few of them. But the more photographic evidence we can get of EYEGLOW will help us understand a little bit more of them. Now, what's interesting, Dr. Rue proposed that, and then here's the other side of what is bioluminescence. So you've got these photophores, these organs that are emitting light out of the sclera. Within that, there is a chemical reaction, and the two chemicals of luciferin and luciferase with oxygen, oxidization of these two chemicals creates bioluminescence, and we see that in nature. So this bioluminescent chemical within the photophore generating the light emitting organ is going to create light. And that's what's going to, that's the essential chemical reaction that's taking place, along with the light emitting organ that's actually projecting the light out. So these are, again, it might be hard for people to comprehend this, but this is science. This isn't, we're not making this up. This is actually a scientific explanation of how this is taking place, because the precedent is already in nature in deep sea life. Now, it also, to me, harkens back to, these are ancient creatures. These are beings that have an ancient vestige of this that still exists today. And they're able to live in caves, they're able to live underground, they're able to traverse at night. And that's one of the reasons why I used the term Nox Gigas, was they're the night giants. Yeah. And it was a lot of that, my experience with the EYEGLOW, that I used that term. I thought that was significant to do that. So,
you know, one thing, just to cut in here for a minute, this goes a long way to explaining they're living in cave subterranean behavior, and yet they don't have like lamps or torches or flashlights or anything. How are they navigating through these lightless depths? Well, apparently that's how.
They're doing it the same way these deep sea fish are using it for searchlights. They're using it for bait. This is an ancient, and the deep sea life is absolutely pitch black down there. Mm-hmm. So this bioluminescence using these photophores is an ancient vestige. I absolutely believe that this is from a period that is like Pangea or something, coming from a really long time ago. So I wanted to kind of set that up. Now, what's interesting, Steve Moon in Iowa, he's with Lowlands Bigfoot, and his website is worth checking out. He's written a lot of this information about Tom. Him and Tom had interacted a good deal, and this information that I'm actually giving you was information that Steve had written about. I saw the actual presentation in October of 2012 that Dr. Rue had presented on this. And so I've got to thank Steve for documenting all this so that we have it today to share, because it's absolutely a piece of the puzzle that once you get out and see this sort of thing, you really get hooked on the EYEGLOW part of it. It's just absolutely fascinating.
And let me back you up on something else that I personally know from personal experience, because I personally have been there. Northeast Iowa and the area right across the border in Wisconsin, all the way along that strip, there's a lot of Bigfoot in there.
Yes.
There's no shortage of Bigfoot in there.
It is. And they're very active, and they do traverse at night, and you will see this sort of EYEGLOW there. Yeah, the Mississippi River has these little islands that they swim in the river, and they get on those islands, and they're also doing subterranean. The Solarian escarpments have cave systems and freshwater springs. So it's absolutely like the karst type system that I've talked about before. And that's the other reason, again, why all this fits so beautifully for me, is the EYEGLOW and to be able to traverse subterranean environments.
The karst systems, like you brought up in previous shows, they're vast subterranean freeways and living spaces.
Yeah, we did a whole show on this, the subterranean Bigfoot, so people could go back and watch all that. But this mechanism.
I'll put a link in the doodly-doop down below.
So what's happened since 2012 is there has been some photographs of these. And when I talked to Steve about this, because I reached out to him after talking to Sibylla and watching that, the Scalara scene that she has of this Bigfoot demonstrating their abilities, absolutely demonstrating that this light is shining out of this Scalara. I went back, made some comments. I talked to Steve, I talked to Sibylla, and Sibylla has generously allowed us to use her artistic renderings of these beings. So I'm thankful for her and want to thank her publicly here. So we'll be showing those with what we're talking about tonight. But one of the things that I got from Steve is he said that the Sclera, what he has found through the photography that he's done of EYEGLOW is that it's coming out of the iris. And so I was like, really? Because Dr. Rue had said it was going to be the Sclera.
Wow, yeah, that's really bizarre.
But it makes sense now because I have seen them focus this. I've seen them focus it like an LED light, and it's literally like a projector. They're projecting this light out. So I've absolutely seen that. We have photographs of it. So that does make sense that it's in the iris also. I think it's in the Sclera and the iris. I think they have photophores in both of those, and they're using them in different ways to see. And they're able to focus on things, and they're also able to project light and communication, like signaling, similar to what these deep sea fish do. So there's communication.
Oh, those dirty cheaters. Are you saying they're like sending Morse code messages with eye blinks at night?
They are. They're communicating with those colors also. And so that's another whole thing to study. It just opens up a whole new area. And the more we've learned about this, the more we're understanding that, this is a part of nature that they're utilizing, but it's very different. It's different from what we have, and that's why they're able to do all these things at night and live. Homo sapiens, we're the people of the daylight, and they are. They run around during the day, but they're largely able to do things at night and be concealed in the environments that they have. And that's, again, one of the reasons that they've been able to remain recluse is that they can traverse through areas that we're simply not willing to do. And in Montana, you don't want to run around in the dark with bears out there. So they got that going for them.
Yeah, when you're about to bump into a 1,000-pound snoozing grizzly, maybe, and they walk around in the dark too, so kind of dangerous. Yeah.
So this oxygen is going to be controlled, and the luciferin and luciferase by the circulatory system, and then the nervous system is probably also going to play a part in some of the projecting of the ability to generate this and project that. So you'll probably have a combination of the nervous system and the circulatory system utilizing the mechanisms that we're talking about to generate EYEGLOW.
I've always wondered if they're, you always hear about them being either angry or startled when you get red EYEGLOW out of them. And I always wondered if that was a result of their blood pressure abruptly going up, and that's what was making the eye color switch to red invariably. That's interesting. I think it more has to do with these filtering that is going on, and them consciously being able to change those colors and either the circulatory system or their nervous system. They can do these things just like we can focus looking away or near, and they have to change those. We've seen them stand up, be one color and stand up, and then be it. One of the things that I was going to bring up is that we had recently the Sitonga movie came out about SASQUATCHing, Spirits and Faith, and one of the producers that was up there, RPG, he was with me out in near Camp Hard Knocks and was able to see this. And so in that movie, he talks about it. And so it was fascinating to be able to take somebody like him and have him in that environment, talk about it, and then have him actually see it. And in his experience, he saw one about 4 or 5 feet and then stand up and move another 4 or 5 feet and stand about 8 feet. And they changed colors. And it blew him away.
he was absolutely blown away by it. It was pretty cool to have.
Do you think anything with the color shifting has to do with perspective and angle of the viewer? Because I've been able to ascertain that when you've got a projected light source on them and you're actually getting eye shine, that it does vary depending on the angle that the light's hitting it at.
Yeah, it's possible some of that is taking place because the light that I've seen when it's just projecting out typically is amber or white. But I think also just, again, to the basic science of this lens, they're able to most likely change these colors and you're going to see it. I have a picture from SASQUATCHing that I'll have you show people here. And Barry had taken it in 2015, and it shows two different SASQUATCHes with two different colors of lights, and the lights are kind of blurry because they're moving. So it's really cool. You can see
there's something they're moving. Yeah,
they're moving. The lights are moving too. So it's pretty cool. And so the thing is with this, it's a phenomena that you have to observe. For one thing, you have to see it yourself to fully comprehend the difference in what eye glow is compared to eye shine. But having this science to kind of explain it, I think validates the significance of it, because we as researchers are able to identify them in the woods now by their eyes, by their ability to have by their glowing eyes. And there's behaviors within that being able to study that is going to be interesting to learn more in the future. One of the funny things that I talked to Derek, and he takes his kids out on like hayrack rides out into the woods, and he was telling me they've taken so many pictures of the eye glow that the kids delete them off their phone unless they're a new color that they haven't seen. So we've got children on the res documenting these things, and they're deleting evidence. But I thought that was funny. So it's going back to this. I really thought it was interesting to have to kind of tie all this together, because Sibylla had done such a great job with her artistic rendering of it, that I just thought, this absolutely ties into what Dr. Rue was saying. And one of the things that I've talked about in the past in this research is the concept that I call quantum entanglement that we experience. And I had to think back in my own life, was there other times that I may have experienced this in the woods? And I absolutely did. Back in 1978, my dad was living in Elgin, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. And his home was in like probably 60 or 70 acres of woods. He was back in the woods. And it was modern architecture, so it had all these windows, that like floor to ceiling windows, kind of a Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, so Bigfoot can spy on you extra good.
They would come right up. And I remember I was standing at the kitchen, and there was a window about 2 feet by probably 14 feet long in the kitchen. And I was looking out this window, and I could see right at the end of where the woods began, there were eyes. There were 3 sets of eyes at different heights. And I'm just sitting there looking at it, and I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, come over here, look at this. What is this? And this is 1978. So, at that, I was probably 12 or 13, I think, given the time frame. And, your father at that point, he's pretty much the judge of everything, and you're going to...
Yeah.
Yes. And his immediate response was, those are owls. Those are owls. And I'm looking at it, and this is kind of one of the first time I kind of questioned my dad looking back. I'm like, I don't know if those are owls. Because I'd been out in the woods catching crayfish, like this creek that went through there, and I had that uneasy feeling earlier in the day, where something's watching you, and they probably didn't like me taking their crayfish out of the. I was catching them. I'd put like a little coffee can and put my hand in front of down in the stream, and the crayfish would shoot back in it, and I'd catch them. So I was doing that all day. I don't know. We caught hundreds of them, and they probably weren't too happy about that looking back at it. But
so you were out there raiding their refrigerator. That's
I'm raiding
why they were.
their supply. Although there was way more than the few that we did take out of there. But just thinking back, having some intuition and thinking back at that whole experience, and this is why I talk about this kind of quantum entanglement, because you fast forward to 2012, where I get this experiences now, and I get some science behind it and start learning that these are actual Bigfoot that are doing this. And I'm able, so you have real experiences in real time, also kind of caught in a historical perspective. And one way I like to look at it, instead of just linear time that we think of things, I like to kind of look at it as a way that if you were to look at something almost in a kaleidoscope or look down in it, the time may, instead of linear, the time may be more in a way that more like a kaleidoscope that you would look through, and experiences that we have are connected in this kind of quantum entanglement. And the things that we're experiencing now are still kind of a part of those things that we had in the past, and also experiences that we're going to have in the present. So in the future, that there's this different way to look at time rather than linear time, the way we look at it. And that may be a little abstract for our viewers, but I just thought it was kind of cool to kind of tie that quantum entanglement into it, because you get these experiences. The more you're doing this research, you find yourself scratching your head and looking back. Now, I saw something like this 5 years ago or 7 years ago or 10 years ago. And now this all makes sense to me now. It all kind of comes together. And that is very common from other researchers that I talk to, that they have these experiences that they're finally able to tie it in real time in the present. And so I think that's just kind of cool that, this is another kind of phenomena when you start looking into the metaphysical side of these beings, that there are interactions that we have that are significant that we may not really understand at all until a future date, and then it does kind of all make sense in that context. So that was kind of a cool experience. I didn't think up until that point that I started studying EYEGLOW that my experience back in 1978 was a Bigfoot. I had a sense of it. I absolutely did believe that back then.
Exactly. That comes up a lot too, and especially with the people that seem to be really good at this and able to get close to them and get pictures of them and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they've only been at it for a few years, but they start learning a lot about the subject, and then they start flipping back through their mental records, and they start going, oh my God, I've been around these things, fill in the blank dozens of times and had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yes, we were oblivious to them, but they've always known us. They've known who you are, and they absolutely have a sense of if you have experienced them and you've been around them, they know that. It's like you either have an aura or something about you, or there's something.
Well, the natives say basically they mark you. After you've gotten away with seeing them and they're okay with it, they just mark you. And then every time you go in the woods, all the Sasquatch apparently within 50 miles know you're there. And it's okay to mess with you because you've seen them before.
Yeah, and that's absolutely possible. There's more to it than I totally understand. But I do see this kind of this interaction and this quantum entanglement that does get carried through in your life when you do this research long enough. And I absolutely agree with the other researchers you're talking about, that this was something from our childhood, literally experiences we had when we were children. And again, it's not necessarily linear time, I don't think. I think it's a different way of looking at time.
Well, it may be the way they experience time too, that they have, there's certain humans that they want to have some kind of contact with. And, they can go back to when you're a kid and go, okay, let's start watching them and keep an eye on them until it gets up to this point in the timeline where we actually want to deal with them.
Yeah. If they're jumping through portals and using these ley lines and have the ability to do that, who's to say they're not able to do some sort of time travel in a way that is not just linear time, but it's connected through past, present, and future altogether.
So well, even not even saying that they're physically going through a portal or something to go back in time. They can mind speak. You can mind speak over any distance. And how do we know that the really well trained ones can't mind speak forward or backward in time?
Mm-hmm. It's that quantum entanglement, and that's something once you set an atom in motion and it's in sync with another one, it doesn't matter how far away it is, it's going to stay entangled with it. So it's absolutely science is catching up with some of this stuff. It's fascinating that these beings that we consider archaic beings and a lot of people believe that they're not intelligent, but they have these abilities that are challenge our science and have us up until recent times we didn't even have any explanation scientifically. So it's fascinating to me. I just kind of chuckle to myself when I start doing some research on this, that 20 years ago they wouldn't have been able to understand some of these concepts at all. Yeah. If they're jumping through portals and using these ley lines and have the ability to do that, who's to say they're not able to do some sort of time travel in a way that is not just linear time, but it's connected through past, present, and future altogether.
So well, even not even saying that they're physically going through a portal or something to go back in time. They can mind speak. You can mind speak over any distance. And how do we know that the really well trained ones can't mind speak forward or backward in time?
Mm-hmm. It's that quantum entanglement, and that's something once you set an atom in motion and it's in sync with another one, it doesn't matter how far away it is, it's going to stay entangled with it. So it's absolutely science is catching up with some of this stuff. It's fascinating that these beings that we consider archaic beings and a lot of people believe that they're not intelligent, but they have these abilities that are challenge our science and have us up until recent times we didn't even have any explanation scientifically. So it's fascinating to me. I just kind of chuckle to myself when I start doing some research on this that 20 years ago they wouldn't have been able to understand some of these concepts at all.
Well, not only that, but even if they did have the science, they weren't willing to look at it because, first of all, Bigfoot doesn't exist. And then secondly, it's got all of these weird powers, and there's no possible way until, there's enough observation by actual field researchers to go, hey, they're doing this, and I keep seeing this, and blah, blah, blah. And then you get somebody like Rich that comes along and digs into the science of it and goes, well, here's the mechanism by which they can actually do this stuff that we're observing them doing. This is real science right here.
Yeah.
Real science right here, kids. And just because people want to go, okay, 20 years ago, if you said Bigfoot eye shine, you would have a bunch of people that would go, okay, I've seen that. That's real. But if you said Bigfoot eye glow, they'd all say, no, ridiculous. Bigfoot can't make their eyes glow. They're not walking around with, 6 D-cell batteries up their butt. Can't have it.
Yeah. And now this just ancient vestige of photophores from deep sea life allows us to explain it. And a physicist, Dr. Tom Rue, has proposed it. So I believe 100% that they're using this, and they're using it through the iris and through the sclera. And so we have scientific explanation. I wanted to share that. I thought that was important. And I think more people that if you're in an area that you feel safe enough to walk around, hike in it during the day, know the terrain, go out at night and don't have any lights on you. And after about 30 minutes, your eyes do adjust to some of the ambient light and you are able to see. So take your time, be with a group. Always do this with other people. Don't go out on your own. But look for this kind of peeking around trees. It's just a subtle type of peeking that you might see from a distance. And the more you don't pay, if you're just there hanging out and talking, you'll notice that they start coming in closer, and you can get in situations where they're not very far away at all if they want to interact with you. But it's up to them. It's up to them. Well,
I mean, even if, you're not looking for them, this has come up a couple times that I know of. It's been reported on my show. One was Mateo at the Modern Explorer was talking about him and his friends would go out in the mountains and just play tag at night in the dark. And one time they were out there doing that and a couple Bigfoot got involved, and which was quite unnerving. And then another one was one of my guests who was in Australia, and they were playing torch tag, which we would call flashlight tag. And again, sound of something moving, hit it with a flashlight, tag, no, that's not a human. Holy bleep.
Yeah, that, and, you don't know what, once you get out there, you never know what you're going to quite encounter. But,
and another thing that works in favor of what you're talking about is that they feel a lot more comfortable in the dark.
Yes.
They know they've got, the older ones at least know they've got the advantage on their side. Some of them, it doesn't seem like they realize that we can't really see in the dark, because even people with like night vision equipment and stuff will still get them peeking around trees at them. And it's like, it's so black a normal human can't see anything. They can't see their hand in front of their face, and you're 50 yards away still trying to peek around a tree.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If you are willing to go out there and walk around in the dark, you are kind of putting yourself out there as vulnerable. They see that. They know you're not, you're not out there in a way to hurt them, and so they can sense that you're being vulnerable. You're putting yourself in their environment, and you're more approachable. You're more approachable than somebody with a light on their head.
Yeah.
They're not going to be coming up to you. So that's one of the reasons why I I've gotten so far into this is because I got into going out in the dark and not having any lights on very early on in my research, and I never went back. If I go out in the woods, I'm going dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for when you do are trying to document it, you have to have lights on if you're going to film stuff and do that sort of thing. But just have the patience to be there and stay in the dark, and you're going to have some amazing experiences. You absolutely are.
Right on. Well, even in the absence of being able to do that, like the situation up here where it's, the animal attack capital in North America, including Alaska, is here in Montana. So walking around in the dark, bad idea. Unless you're going to be heavily strapped, and then maybe the Bigfoot aren't going to want to get that close to you anyway. But the one thing that we can do is tactical vulnerability. And this is the same thing that Rich is mentioning, just a different aspect of it. And that's where you want to make it seem like you are non-hostile and pretty damn vulnerable. Do the opposite of what the military would do. The military takes the high ground, they set up barricades. We take the low ground, the most vulnerable spot where they can peek on us from above at every angle and sneak up right around camp and be right next to it and we still can't see them. That's a perfect camping spot because they're not going to feel vulnerable whatsoever when they try and sneak up on you or keep an eye on you.
Yeah. And, when you're in the woods, talk to them. They know you're there. And so you can talk to them. We've done... One of the things that we do with red squatching is that we do say prayers, and that's something about that you'll see with the movie that came out, Seatonga Spirits and Faith. That was just released in December. That's very much a part of us, and we absolutely are people of faith. We aren't going, when I'm in these woods, I am confident the Holy Spirit is with me. I absolutely believe that. And so I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm, going to go wrestle a bear, but I'm absolutely feel like I am in a safe environment. And if we're not, feeling wanted there, then, we know it's time to leave. But I absolutely, how you project yourself and how you are in the woods is how these beings are going to see you. And if you're acting like you're, Rambo out there, you're not going to impress them at all.
No, you'll probably just tick them off and they'll want you to leave.
You're just going to tick them off. And there's nothing you could do to be as tough as the alpha male. So just get over it. You're not the biggest, baddest thing in the woods. You simply are. An alpha male can twist you into a pretzel in so many ways. And the fact that they aren't doing that is amazing, that they have patience with us, with all the things that people do. And
I don't want to hear the typical Ramboism of, I got a bear at 50 cal, that'll take down anything. Yeah, Bigfoot's got a half a ton boulder that he's going to hit you with. That'll take down anything.
Yeah, and they, we've talked about this before, but they are so fast. And if you shoot it, there's always more than one. So you think the one that you're looking at is the only threat in the woods? The one standing behind you is the one that is going to knock your head off, okay? So just get it in your head. When you go into their woods, that's their home. Those are their deer. That's their food there. Be respectful. And that's the big thing. You absolutely should be respectful. If you plan on interacting with them, you need to know respect, because they, just through their ability to do, whether it's infrasound or the zapping that they can do, they could just, take you out in many different ways, and they don't. They absolutely don't. So you have to be the one responsible for your behavior and be accountable that you're going to, be respectful to them, and you'll get that back. Well,
they're not allowed to murder either. They've got prohibitions against that. And unlike us, who don't seem to consider them to be humans, they do consider us to be humans like they are. So they're not supposed to murder us. However, at the point where you shoot one of them or you kill one of them, that rule's off the table.
Yeah.
You're a walking target. And that includes your next of kin, like wife and children. Forever.
Yes. And that's a frightening thought to think of that. But again, that's why I was saying how you conduct yourself in the woods, how you're going to be treated. And we've always been trying to be very respectful. We don't bring weapons in that capacity, but we do say a prayer. We do try to be respectful in that way. And there's that sort of interaction has worked for us, and it is different than what a lot of people are doing. So that's something Barry really had been actively doing. And when I first started getting together with him, it really kind of changed my perspective, and I became a more spiritual person through this process. Would never have thought that, going out looking for Bigfoot would get me closer to God. But the reality is it has. It's made me affirmed me.
Interesting. I had somebody on my show that did not believe in God until after they saw Bigfoot. And then their whole world flipped upside down, and they went, if Bigfoot's real, God's probably real too.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. However you come about it. But if God is real, and we are here in a spiritual life that we're living, and there is an eternal life, and people need to wake up. I mean, it doesn't take much to look around the world today. People, this is hell on earth is happening. Things are happening all around. It's not a good time, but it also is a time that we could be getting closer to our Savior Jesus coming back. So, but it doesn't take, you just watch the news on any given night. There's a lot of terrible things going on in the world, and a lot of things that are biblical that you can relate them to. So I felt that was an important part of the message that I want to share with people. And I really want them to know that I am, have faith in Jesus as my Savior. And that's absolutely part of who I am today. And it is, ironically, again, through these experiences and growing through this process, it's been a growth period for me. The other thing I wanted to talk about, if we think we've covered enough of the EYEGLOW, and I suppose some of the pictures and things that you're going to show are going to help people get a better idea of it. But definitely watch some of the other videos that I've talked about. This Sea Tonga movie that is out. Absolutely watch that. That we talk about that experience, and they do a dramatization of it, more of just what it looked like in the woods there at Camp Hard Knocks. I'm here at Camp Hard Knocks. We're getting ready to set up camp. There's a structure right behind me, so just wanted to kind of get a little video of it while I was getting ready to go pick up Barry. This is the powwow is going on this weekend, so we're looking to have a lot of activity here. Hopefully we're going to play some drum music through the speakers when we're here. But it looks like we got a little welcome sign here at Camp Hard Knocks. So it should be a good time this weekend. We've got a group of guys coming out, and we're hoping to get some activity here. So just getting ready to go pick up Barry, and I stopped up here. There's nobody else here right now, but I saw this nice little welcome sign. So Ahu from the Omaha Res. This is in the land of the Sitonga. Just driving by to get Barry. And what Sibylla Irwin has documented. So those are all really awesome things. But there was one other thing I wanted to kind of share with you tonight. And that was the counting coup experience.
Aha. Yes.
Aha. And we kind of segued to that because we were talking about how they could, run by you, or how they could touch you and mark you. Mm-hmm. Well, when I was up on October 22nd of last year, I was on the Omaha Res, and we were having a mini expedition. We had a guest, Scott Pace was there, who's from Louisiana, and we had him out, and we had another guest from Lincoln here, a friend of mine that came up with us. And we were out near Camp Hard Knocks with Derek Webster, and one of the founders of SASQUATCHing. And Barry was in the vehicle and he was kind of resting in between things we were doing at that point. But Terry Pedraza, and I want to acknowledge the passing of Terry, because that was the last time I was able to go out with him on one of our expeditions. And since like 2017 or 18, Terry, who had been with the Bigfoot conference there and with Harriet in Nebraska, he started coming up to do res watching stuff with us. So he came into my research area near Lincoln, and then we invited him up to come up to the res, and he really got to go out a lot and do a lot of the expeditions we had. But Terry was there, but Terry passed away December 26th of this past Christmas. So I just wanted to, in memory of him, wanted to acknowledge him publicly. He was a warm soul. He was always there to help with res watching. He wasn't always able to get out in the woods, but he was there in spirit all the time, and it was great. Well, he was standing next to his vehicle, and I was standing there, and we'd been talking. We had seen some EYEGLOW around the woods around us, and we were talking, and all of a sudden, and I'll send you this video. You can play it. So it's about a 2-minute video, but you can play it for the audience. All of a sudden, we hear what sounds like some rustling of leaves, and at that moment, I physically could tell something ran right by me. There was a physical presence that I was just like, we were standing there in the dark, the way I'm talking, and something ran right behind me. And so I had my audio running, so I recorded it. And then we all kind of take a moment, and I'm like, what was that? We all kind of take a moment and process it.
That's how we cook them.
Yeah. Wow.
What was that?
Come on, man.
Jumped out of the tree.
Cigarette.
Jumped out of the tree.
Huh?
Just jumped out of the tree.
Down. Is that you, Terry? Huh? As you walk through here real fast?
Huh?
As you walk through
Something.
here?
No. The leaves, did you hear that? Mm-hmm. Sounded like something came through here. Yeah. Did it run right by us?
I heard it.
I thought it was him.
Oh, I think something.
They're fast.
That was weird.
It was right behind you.
Yeah, it was right behind me. I was like, what the?
Slap you with a whip.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like,
Do you think that was true? Because I thought it was him.
I heard it.
What do you mean think it was true?
Well, I mean,
Fucking heard
it
it.
was right
I
here.
heard something, but
No, it was right behind
It
us.
was walking. It was hustling.
Yeah, but they flew through here.
Janu, 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 Janu.
Oh,
Hear that shit?
yeah.
That was loud. Are you Janu?
Was that I thought it was a gunshot. You think it was?
that was a wood knock.
No.
Because they were coming out, so he was
you're right.
notifying. Maybe we should go up there and see what the.
To have them run by at that particular time was just kind of another surreal kind of experience. But as we processed it, Derek told me later that he actually heard it touch my coat. He said he could hear it. He could hear it scrape my coat, that it touched me. And so we were all like, what just happened? We all kind of talk about it. What was that? And we think one just ran through here. That's what happened. One just ran by me. And so it's a neat audio because you can hear it, the leaves moving as it's moving through. But it's just a testament to their speed. And then I talked to you about this later, and you were like, that's counting coup. You got counted coup. And I was like, counting coup? What is that? Well, it turned out that it is kind of a rite of the young Sasquatch to become an adult is to touch a human being when they aren't aware of it. And it's very similar to what Native Americans did when they were fighting. They would touch them with the coup stick, their enemy. And so I felt really like that was an honor that one of them felt compelled to run by and touch me. And so it was really kind of in retrospect, one of those experiences, like, that was just awesome that that happened and that I was able to document it. And so I don't know how many people have had, counted coup, but that's definitely something I could put on my list now that's happened to me, and I documented it. So that was very cool.
I know, it's extremely cool. And actually, I had it, apparently it happened to me. Christy Sci-Fi noticed it in the video as I was walking up toward this big pile of trees laying all on top of each other. There's two little ones underneath there looking in between the trees. And right as I'm turning with the camera, you can see a little one. He's looking up like this, and he's reaching his hand up. So as soon as I turn around, he can reach right through and touch me, the little cheater.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to be out in the woods with them. If, once you overcome a lot of the fear and, the things that typically will come along with people, to have these experiences and to know that they are sentient beings, they're laughing at you, they're having fun. You can interact with them in ways that you're not even aware of completely. But this whole counting coup was another experience, and I thought about, I've been touched.
They got to be really comfortable with you in order to try and do that stuff, because they think there's any chance you're going to stab them or shoot them or something. No, maybe not worth trying. We had one when I was up there at Coloma last spring. Me and one other person there, and it was about 2:00 in the morning, and we had a pavilion up. Although it wasn't raining at the time, we weren't sitting under it. We were just over past the edge of it. And I kept hearing or sensing something from the far side of the pavilion. And this is only 10 feet. And I kept turning and looking, and I couldn't see anything. Afterwards, I was talking to Robin, and she said, there was one that kept sneaking up on you guys. And I go, where was he? And she goes, he was over by the pavilion. He was trying to show the adults how tough he was, and he was going to sneak up and count coup on the pavilion, not on one of us. Just touch the pavilion and then escape again. And right as he was about to do it, somebody randomly came pulling in to the ghost town with their lights on and spooked him, and he took off again, apparently. But that was really funny she told me that, because I knew there was something over there. I kept sensing it or hearing it, and every so often I turned and looked, and I couldn't see anything, and I turned back again. That's exactly what it was, one of the little ones trying to be really brave and go up and count coup on the pavilion, because that's only 15 feet away from us.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the fact that you're around, that you're around their little ones, they absolutely trust you in those situations if you're out there and they have their young ones about. So that's really humbling. It's one thing for the adults to put up with you, but at the point where they let the kids go hang around with you, they really trust you a lot. That was something that came up with Kevin too, when he'd get acquainted with the Sasquatch in an area. Right away they try and make him the babysitter and go let the kids hang out at his house for 2 or 3 hours while they're running around hunting and stuff, and then come up, collect them back up again, and take them off for the rest of the night to wherever they were going to. Awesome.
Yeah, that was very common, 3-4 nights a week when he was down there in Arkansas. The little ones, between two and 4 of them. And then one of the teenager ones, I guess, was kind of like their babysitter. And they would just hang out in his backyard, and he could see him, and he was talking to them, and they'd make sounds back to him and stuff. And then after 2 or 3 hours, the bigger ones would show up, and they'd all leave again. So apparently he was designated babysitter, too. But yeah, that's it's really wonderful when you get to the point where you're that you've had that much time interacting with any one group of them that they actually trust you that much, because that's that isn't the end of the research, that's the beginning of it. Now you can actually get close enough to them to see patterns and figure out behaviors and stuff that, I mean, let's face it, you have to have observation of some kind in order to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, that was something that being, learning where they're at, being in areas where are really their home, and in the night, it's enough going in there and just kind of walking through. But if you camp in one of those areas, you're going to have interactions that you're just not, you got to kind of prepare yourself for something like that. Grabbing you to the tent, it's show and tell at that point for the whole clan. So
exactly, and that's what we've learned. And I tell new guests and stuff too, just expect the unexpected. They do something different every time. The last time I was up there, I had Keith Crabtree with, and one of them decided to tickle his feet. So you don't know what the hell they're going to do.
Yeah. You just don't. You never know, and that's what makes it really cool, though, too. As long as you've been doing this, it's always exciting because it's the unknown. You always have, I would have never expected to go out and have this counting coup experience, but now that it's happened, it's like, wow, I wonder if that'll happen again. That was awesome. So you just
what's cool
know.
In your case is that you experienced it. You got a recording of the sound. Something went whipping by you. One of your buddies heard it actually touch the cloth on your, jacket and stuff. In my case, I had no idea. So one of my friends saw it on the video and went, "Hey, a little one was like counting coup on you," and I'm like, "What? Oh my God!" There's one literally right behind me, and I'm such a stupid bumbling human. I can't see him. Get him on video though.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. So, hey, we should also mention that here in April, we got a big Bigfoot conference coming up over there in Nebraska. It's the annual Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. And in conjunction with that, since I'm coming over to speak again for the second year in a row, I'm also planning on trying to stop over to visit with Barry and the boys at SASQUATCH, and, of course, Rich Soule, who also tends to be near that area. And I'm assuming would show up if we were over there, I hope.
Yeah, and I could take you through some of my local woods here also, and we can go on up and visit with Barry and SASQUATCHing. So we've got some options, absolutely.
Well, I'd love to do it. I haven't had a chance to ever be in that part of the country. You're over in northeast Nebraska, right?
Well, yeah, I'm in Lincoln, which is the state capital, so it's more in southeastern Nebraska.
Southeast, okay.
Barry's up in Macy, Nebraska, which is along the Missouri River, and that's northeastern part of the state.
So anyway, eastern part of the state where I generally don't go.
Yeah, either way, you're going to be in areas you haven't been in, that's for sure.
Yeah, either one of them I haven't been in, because my route was generally north-south between Minnesota and Texas, or Minnesota and Florida, so I wasn't generally going through there. I wasn't really on the travel route for the most part. So yeah, there's parts of the interior of the country I haven't actually seen yet, believe it or not. Yeah, and I always like going to new areas that I haven't been to or anything. And like I said, Viking Ashton's going to be with, and I'm sure he's going to be super psyched. Also, want to mention some of the guest list, in case you happen to be near Mid-America at the end of April and want to come over to the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. Robin McRae and her husband Pat will both be speaking. William Lunsford, the Fouke Monster Hunter, will be there. Stephen Hill, the Sulphur River Sasquatcher, will also be there speaking. And Keith Crabtree, the Boggy Creek Monster himself, will be there, as well as several other people talking about the Legend of Boggy Creek reissue, which they've redone the video and audio on it and re-released it. And they're going to be doing kind of a, update, re-release party and showing that in the big IMAX theater nearby and all that good stuff. And also Don Monroe and several other people going to be there. Christie Sci-Fi is going to be there, although not speaking. And there might be a special guest from Northeast Ontario, Canada, who's been on my channel a bunch of times, that might actually be hanging around too. mystery. Ooh, who could that be? There's so many people from Northeast Ontario, Canada that have been on my show. So you guys will have to figure that one out. But I definitely say, come on over. It's going to be quite the blast, and going to have a whole pile of really, pretty expert. There's no experts, but expert Bigfoot people there. I'm sure Rich will probably show up too because he doesn't live very far away. We can probably hopefully convince him to show up and come visit. And we're looking at in the following year actually having Rich speaking there, and that mystery guy from Northeast Ontario, Canada, speaking there. And I got a couple other people that I'm trying to get on the list here. One of them's from the Southwest, who's also been on my show. You guys can guess which one that one is.
Yeah, you guys have gotten a lot of things going at that conference, so I'm really happy that, with International Hominology and Robin really helping out with that. I think that's turned out to be just an amazing conference for our country to have that. We've got some just phenomenal people. And one of the guys you talked about, Don Monroe, he's somebody who was doing research for, like 50 years and did the horsehair, the braiding of the horsehair. And when Igor came there, those two together, they came up to the res with us and were out with us. It's just an amazing experience to have just some legends like that still out. Don Monroe was like 84 or something like that now. He got bit by like 3 rattlesnakes.
Not all at once, though.
He still bounced back and was out like squatching with us. I mean, just amazing. These stories, you can't make these things up. It's just unbelievable. But
he's another one of those indestructible octogenarians like Igor Burtsev. And last year we had Ron Moorhead, the Sierra Sounds, doing his presentation there, and he's always great too.
Yep, I was there for that. That was really good too. That conference is worth it, and then to go to Harriet's museum there is a must also, to really get to see a lot of evidence and a lot of people.
She's getting new exhibits and stuff put in there too. Actually, she's got the Cripplefoot track cast that Blaine Tyler collected is being sent to the museum. And I'm sending her stills from the Super X video that I took, so you can see what 60-foot X structure looks like with a 6-foot human standing underneath it. That'll be my donation to the museum here. And Rich, you should send her some of those too, because you're the other guy that's got ridiculously ginormous tree structures documented. They're actually over there.
Yeah, I started documenting them and coined the term superstructures for the multiple trees that were put together to make them. So you got to stand back to watch it, to totally see them.
Yeah, we showed that in an earlier show where you had one where it took like 4 pictures to show the whole thing, because there isn't any angle where you could stand at and actually see the whole thing. Yeah,
it takes multiple pictures to show it. So, I've got some, so I'll definitely have those available to give to Harriet too. Definitely have that.
Very impressive stuff. And I should also mention that you're like the tree structure guy, and you've got not one but 2 books on tree structures out. Are those available where people could get them, should they perchance wish to have them?
The format that they're in, they are not available right now. So anybody that has those, they're probably collector's items.
Damn, wish I would have got one when I had a chance.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would leave him.
walking back there. Yeah.
This guy still won't move.
Walk down there, walk in that water.
There's some eyes right there. Remember how we were doing this? Here the alien eyes appeared?
Look at that.
Oh, see
Oh, there we go.
eyes?
Right there, see?
The bigger eyes appeared now.
I know Harriet has a copy there at the museum, but yeah, all those are no longer in print, the format they were using. So I do anticipate putting out a more comprehensive book of all my research. I have my website, the Gigas Study. People could come there and really read a lot of the field notes, the expeditions, the theories, the papers that I've written. And I do plan on putting that into a book at some point. So that's in the works in the future. But right now, you can go to my website and get a lot of it, and all the World Bigfoot Radio shows that I've done over the years are there. You can get links to the YouTube channel where I have also field experiences that I've had. So it's just kind of a comprehensive repository of my research, and someday I'll put it in a book, a bigger book, and just But yeah, that's for those who bought those, yeah, they're probably a collector's item now. So.
All right, you guys. So head to eBay.
Don't throw them away.
Head out to eBay and start putting those giant price tags on them.
Awesome.
See, was there anything else I needed to mention? Oh, yeah. For the benefit of those of you who really enjoyed the last Conspiracy Corner, number 10, where we talked about the real Count Dracula. Unfortunately, our guest Danielle had some pretty severe health issues and had to have some work done on her in the hospital. And she has been released and is recovering currently. So at whatever point that you guys hear this one, please send her some prayers to heal and to not have any more recurring health issues. Because as you guys know that saw the show, she's an absolutely sweet, wonderful person, really pretty and really smart. So we want to keep her around as long as we can.
Absolutely. That's prayers to her, and I hope she has a quick recovery.
Me too, because got to have her back on the show too. See, all these repeat people that come on my show a lot, I have to keep a close eye on them, make sure they don't die so I can get them back on again. The Rich I don't have to worry about so much. He's got to see Tonka watching him all the time to make sure he's okay. Some of my guests got their Sasquatch security guards. And that's my research area. That's the hilarious thing up there. Now that I can talk to them via Robin, we got the deal, like I don't walk around with guns. We don't have guns in camp. We only have like one in a vehicle maybe. But okay, we still got to walk around the woods and do research. What are we supposed to do then? Okay, well, there'll be security and keep an eye on us to make sure nothing attacks us while we're walking around the woods. So the same relic hominids we're walking around the woods looking for are providing our security service for us.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's an irony of sorts.
You just can't dream stuff like this up.
No.
And it only requires every time you visit, you just bring them some peanut butter. And they love you, and they'll make sure you're alive so you can bring them more peanut butter the next time.
Yep, that's it.
They're smart. They know where their peanut butter is coming from, and if you get hurt, there's no more peanut butter.
Yeah.
And that's apparently, from their standpoint, that's worth punching out several grizzlies just to ensure that peanut butter supply keeps coming in.
No doubt.
Oh my God, I have so much fun with the research. I just absolutely, it is just such a blast for me to be up there and go camping and hang around with them. And every time you're there, they're going to do some different thing that you don't expect. And what's it going to be this time, you know? So that's one of the fun things, because the unpredictability of it always makes it interesting and exciting. You never know what they're going to do. I mean, within limits.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we pretty much ran through everything. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
I think that was it. I just wanted to cover that, the EYEGLOW, and kind of give an update on Muke 7E, and then the counting coup was kind of the crown of everything that's happened to me recently. So that was great. Just send out again a prayer to Terry Pedraza and family that with the passing of him, he was a valued member of SASQUATCHing, and just
prayers for Danielle Diva, our guest from last week too. Everybody keep her in your prayers. And you know, while I'm thinking about it, I don't know very many people that have had coup counted on them and are aware of it. Very few.
When people listen to this, it's a rare occurrence, and to catch it on audio was very, very cool. And they knew, they absolutely know what's going on. They know what they're doing. They know that I had my recorder going. So it's just cool all around to have that experience documented.
Yeah, and not get hurt too, because I know a couple other people that may have had coup counted on them that kind of got roughed up in the process. And one of them was Eric, who's been up here camping with me a couple times now, and they were shaking his van at night, and he bailed out the door on the van and tried to run away in the dark. And one of them immediately caught up to him and went, boink, and pushed on his back just enough to overbalance him, so he went on his face, splat. And then it left. And then there was Jerry Klein, who was investigating a abandoned homeless camp at night in the winter. And as he was walking back, he heard this growl, and something pushed on his back and face planted. Same thing. And then it just walked away. So I don't think those are counting coup, but it's kind of similar.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, thanks for having me again, Duke. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. And God bless all your viewers. I get in on your chat groups occasionally when you have those. So, look forward to getting in on one for this when we debut this, and to talking to your viewers. And if people have questions, it's always good to be able to do that.
Right on, man. I know they love having you on the show, especially the old timers that have been watching it for a long time. And I just got some of the best viewers out there. These people are just absolutely brilliant, and they got great hearts too. Whenever somebody needs help, they want to jump in and try and help them. So just very blessed to have such an amazing audience. But again, thanks for being with me, and we will definitely have you back as soon as you've got more updates to give us. Everybody, don't forget that I'm going to be at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference coming up the end of April, and more than likely Rich will be wandering around there, and several other luminaries that aren't even speaking, including that one mysterious guy from Northeast Ontario. That guy who never comes down to the lower 48 ever. So with that, everybody, be kind to everybody else. You know all of the usual rules, and make sure that you follow them. And don't hug any Wookiees.
So, mind everyone, safety first, last, and always. Pay it forward. Don't be mean to people if you don't have to be. Don't flip off the mountain giant. Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't punt the puck, would you? And for God's sake, whatever you do, do not hug the Wookiee.